Good. Now we're going back to our Torah reading of Parshat Shmini. Parshat Shmini talks about the death of Nadav ben Avihu, Aaron's two sons, and the opening of the first day, what happened on the first day that the tabernacle was open. And here we go, strangely, it starts all of a sudden talking about a subject which seems to be entirely not related. Of course, it's related because it's in the Torah and it's Judaism, but what's the point of putting these two together? Yeah. What animals are kosher and what animals are not kosher to eat? Mainly to eat. And some of them also, when you touch them, when they're dead, touch the dead bodies also become unclean. So let's see what they are. Here we go. We learned yesterday about the Kohanim and what things they're allowed to do and what things they're not allowed to do. And here, let's have a look today at some of the things which are permissible for all Jews to eat and not permissible to eat. Now, even the animals that are permissible to eat, you can't eat them until they're properly slaughtered. And if they're not properly slaughtered, then it's called nevela. Nevela means an animal that died not died, what do you want to call it, on its own, somehow or other. Or it was killed, but not according to the Torah. A truck ran over it, it fell off a cliff. Or even if it was slaughtered with a slaughtering knife, the proper way, but the laws of slaughtering, of Torah slaughtering, were not observed. Let's say you pushed down on the knife, or you delayed when you were slaughtering. You have to go back and forth. You delayed when you were slaughtering the animal, went back and forth. That animal was, if the animal did not die according to the way of the Torah, if it died on its own, or if it was not killed, it has to be killed. But it had to be killed properly. The knife has to be smooth, etc. Then that animal is called nevela, and its body is impure. So let's have a little look. Here we go. Ready? First of all, let's have a look at the animals that are kosher. Positive commandment. It is a positive commandment, livdok, to check if you want to eat, to check the signs of a behema and a chaya. A behema there's only three types: a cow, a sheep, and a goat. Cow, sheep, and goat, that's a behema. And a chaya, that's all these other type of animals that are also kosher, like like we said before, like a deer, an antelope, etc. Things that are like that. There's a whole list of them. I've got some pictures of what these are. But here we've got the signs. These animals are permissible to eat, but they have to have the signs. We learned that a mimer in the morning about that. And look, what are the signs? We're going to see in a moment. We'll go back to this. Negative commandment. So it's a positive commandment. You have to check the signs for the signs if they're kosher. If you want to eat. Negative sign. Do not eat any meat which comes from an animal which is not kosher. Okay, what is exactly the signs? Let's go over this. Here we go. Yeah. What are the signs of an animal or a chaya that is called permissible? It's explained clearly in the pasuk. Kol shu male gira, it has to chew its cud. It brings up its cud. In other words, it eats the food and it regurgitates it and then chews it again. Umafris parsa, and it has to have split hooves. There's even a picture over here. You want to see this picture? Watch this. Here we go. Pictures. For those of you who want pictures, here we got a picture. Here we go. Can we see the picture? Yes. Let's see. We're going to do this here. Oh, picture. Here we go. We can even make it a moving picture. Want to see a moving picture? Just 1 second. There we go. Oh. That's not me. That's a picture of me, not the animals yet. Here we go. Ready? Picture. Stomach. Here's the animal's mouth. Where is it? Oh, I got it. This is reverse here. The mouth. Chicken, not the chicken. This is a behemoth, the animal. The mouth. It eats the food. Food goes down. I have to do this backwards. The food. And it goes into the stomach. Stomach. It's the moving picture. See, it's moving. So this. Here we go. There we go. Nice good shot over here. The food goes into the stomach. Follow the arrows. Into the stomach. First of all, it goes into one of these pre-stomachs. It's called the hemsis. Right? Do we have the picture over here? It says a beta kosot behemsis. I think that's not right. I think first of all is the hemsis is first in the beta kosot. It's not important. Anyway, it goes in. This is a behemoth, so it has these 4 stomachs, right? So one of the stomachs. Let's get the picture over here. The food goes down into the stomach, goes into the second stomach. One's called the hemsis, then the beta kosot. And then it goes back up and it regurgitates the food and chews it again. And then it comes down into the big stomach, which is called the keva. Keva. There we go. This thing is, the picture is reversed, so I have to train my finger to move properly. That's it, the keva. And then all the food, and then it's excreted. This is a picture of a split hoof, as if you didn't know. There are animals that have split hooves, like a pig has split hooves, but it does not chew its cud. And it says that the rabbit chews its cud in some other way. Then this doesn't have exactly the same makeup as this, but the rabbit chews its cud, but it does not have a split hoof. So let's have a look and see. Ready? Yes. One minute. Let's get this thing down here. There we go. Back in your cage. There we go. Oh. Negative commandment. What are the commandments? It has to have chew its cud and have a split hoof. And if it doesn't, it's unclean. If you eat 1 kazayat, a very small amount of this behemoth, and whatever it is, and then you have transgressed a positive commandment and a negative commandment, and the punishment is lashes. Not nowadays. There's no more lashes today, but there used to be. In order to get lashes, when there was such a thing, you had to be warned. There had to be proper warning, proper witnesses. The person had to do the sin immediately after the warning, etc. There has to be a proper warning. You have to take them to court and a trial. It's almost impossible to administer lashes. Okay, what about eating meat from a person? Don't try it. Don't try it. But if you do, God forbid, then it is a negative commandment. I mean, it's a positive commandment. You have transgressed a positive commandment. Why? Because it says these are the animals you should eat, and man is not one of them. Right? Man is not a chaya, is not a. What about, let's say, milk? Milk that comes from a camel. Milk that comes from a camel. Is that okay? Can you eat it? No. Anything that comes from an impure animal is impure. Okay, what about honey? Honey comes from a bee. You can't eat bees. You cannot eat bees. Don't try it, especially not when they're alive. And then, but even when it's dead, it is a sin to eat bugs and things. You can't eat those things. Okay, so anything that comes from an impure animal is impure. What about honey? So it says honey. It says, we just had that. Where was it? Anyway, honey is permissible because we see that the animal just produces it. It doesn't really come from the animal like milk comes from the udder. What about eggs that come from, oh, here, it's over here. What about eggs that come from a impure bird, crow eggs? We didn't get to the birds yet, but, or what about shark eggs, caviar? We didn't get to the fish either, but we're going to get to that. You can't eat the eggs that come from these things either. It's forbidden from the Torah, and they're punished by lashes. What about here? We have honey from bees, and something like that, whatever it is, tzeirin. It is permissible. Why? I don't know what this tzeirin is, but it's permissible because it does not really come from the body. It just is a chemical process that goes through them. What about milk from a woman? We said that it's forbidden to eat a human being. You can't. Well, how can babies eat human milk? You should give them cow milk, right? Wrong. You don't have to. Milk from a woman is permissible. It's forbidden for a gadol, for a person that's more than 3 years old, to suckle milk from a woman's breast. That's forbidden. Underneath it is because it's a special thing. Okay, chaylev. What about milk from a kosher animal, but it was milked by a non-Jew, and there was no Jew that saw the non-Jew milking it? It's a Mishnah in Avodah Zarah. Why? It's forbidden. Why? Because it's a decree from the rabbis that maybe he mixed in some substance or milk from an unclean animal. Why would he do a thing like that? To make the Jews sin. But cheese that was made by a non-Jew from the Torah, it's permissible because not kosher milk will not coagulate. It won't become cheese, but the rabbis made it forbidden for a different reason. Okay, further, positive commandment to check fish to see if they're kosher. What's the sign of a kosher fish? We'll see in a second. Positive commandment to check. Negative commandment that if it does not have the signs of a kosher fish, it is forbidden to eat. If one who eats it has transgressed both a positive commandment, because you were supposed to check, and a negative commandment, because if you did check and found that it was not kosher, it's forbidden to eat. What are the signs of kosher animals, kosher fish? They're explained clearly in the Torah. It says, Kol yesh lo senapir v'kaskeses. If it has fins and scales. Even if the scales, it used to have scales when it was born, but the scales all fall off, it still is kosher. What if it does not have scales now, but it's gonna grow later? Also kosher to eat. I don't know if there is such things like that, but maybe there is. All that does not have these two signs, then it is tamei. A person that eats a kazayat of this is negating a positive commandment, and he transgresses a negative commandment, and the punishment is beating. Next, what do we have? We've already talked about the animals. We talked about the fish. What's left over? Birds. Birds. Now, birds is not so clear what's kosher and not kosher. Generally speaking, with birds, you cannot eat a bird unless the previous generations ate it. So as we can only eat birds that we knew were eaten by religious Jews previous to us. And usually it runs in the family, right? Or, you have them, your mother, your parents, but people that weren't religious, at least they're touched with the rabbi or something, and they become religious, they become touched with the rabbi, so they know. Anyways, it has to come from the previous generation. Here we go. Don't eat impure birds. These are the things that are, and it says clearly what they are, and we're going to have a look at them. We've got some pictures that, generally speaking, birds of prey, birds that the hawks and things like that are not permissible to eat. Generally speaking, they're not permissible. But we have to have only birds that are given of birds of prey. There are some religious Jews that usually their name is Horowitz or Gorevich. They come from the Shloh, from Rabbi Yeshaya Horowitz, who was named the Shnei Luchot HaBrit. And he did not eat turkey. Why? Because he said once he saw a turkey kill another animal and eat it. And therefore he decided it was a bird of prey and they don't eat it. But in any case, but that's rare. Usually only, that's one of the reasons also in general, that has to be given from previous generations. That's one of the reasons they don't eat giraffe. Even though giraffe, apparently, that's what I was told, has all the signs of a kosher animal. It's a chaya. It has split hooves, and maybe some of you are big in zoology or something can tell me differently, but they have split hooves and they chew their cud, but it's not eaten because the previous generations didn't eat it. Right? The people in Europe never saw such a thing like that. But ochel, anyone who eats, and in Africa there were no Jews, at least where there are giraffes there were. Who knows? Anyways, they don't eat it. A person that eats kazayas from an impure bird, he has transgressed the positive commandment and the negative commandment, like we said before. Positive commandment, to check chagavim. Okay, dear crowd, little do you know, but it's true. There are locusts that are permissible to eat. There are locusts that are permissible to eat. I have never seen this being done, but I know people who have seen. There are Moroccan Jews and Yemenite Jews that they claim that they know which ones are, and I understand even really religious ones that receive from their parents what are kosher locusts and which are not. Any case, don't do it at home, but here are the signs of kosher locusts. What are they? 3 signs. Number 1, they have 4 front feet. Number 2, they have 4 wings that cover the majority of the length and the circumference of their body. And 3rd sign, they have 2 big legs in the back to jump with them. A locust that does not have these things, but will grow them after a while, it's also permissible. One who eats them, etc., any locust that doesn't have these 3 signs, as he's transgressed a positive commandment and a negative commandment. The positive commandments you're supposed to check, and the negative commandment is that if it doesn't have these signs, it's forbidden to eat. Next, here we have a strange law, and we're going to get to this a little bit. We're going to go over this quickly. There are what's called shmona shiratzim. There are 8 special creeper animals that are impure, even a little tiny bit when they're dead. Even a little tiny bit of them, the sign of what's called a dasha, doesn't have to be a kazayat, even a little bit. And they have a special impurity that's called sheretz, tuma sheretz. And this is a choled, a achbar, a tzav, hanaka, a koach, halta'a, a chomet, v'tin shomet. 8 things. What are these things? Ready? Here's a picture. Let's draw this down again. Now, I think nowadays there isn't any of this impurity, and it's like it was before. But here you go. And what happened? Make it a little bigger. There. Oh, there you got the sinner. What do you call it? What do they used to call those? Anyway, here you got a full cinema picture. Here we go. What are they? There is we'll make the picture over here. Let's see if we can do this. Here, is this clear? Maybe I'll turn the thing around. Get a little bit of light over there. Bad idea. Okay, this is the choled. You see it? No, you can't. I guess this is a mole. Huh? A mole. Pretty ugly thing. A mole. Here's the achbar. Mouse. Sav. Turtle. Anaka. What is this anaka? I guess it's a porcupine. Huh? Something like that. Koach, some sort of lizard. See, there it is, koach, lizard. Lata'a, another type of lizard. Chameleon, a chomet, a biter, another type of lizard. Who knows? Okay, how many have we got so far? We got 7. And we have the tin shomet. Ready? No. He says, I have not found the picture of the tin shomet either. Okay. You know what the 8 shvatzim are? These are all, of course, they're also forbidden to eat. But in addition to forbidden to eat, they also have a special level of impurity they impart, which is not really relevant nowadays. Only in the time of the temple was it relevant. But like we say, there will be, the third temple will be built. But then when the third temple will be built, there won't be such impurity. Maybe in the beginning there were. Okay. Just that you know that's the 8 shvatzim. And here we have the last topic, and then we're going to go to back to the Chumash and learn this inside a little bit. That is okay, that's a little bit complicated. Here we go. Nevela. We said nevela. Nevela, an animal is forbidden to eat an animal which is a nevela. Nevela, as I said before, it was not, either it died on its own or was not slaughtered properly. It was not slaughtered properly. It says that's the laws of shchita. Shchita is proper ritual, we call it ritual slaughtering of a behemoth, etc. This is complicated laws. Complicated laws. What if you properly slaughter a camel? Huh? Camel, an impure animal, a camel, a dog, a cat. It doesn't make any difference. Once it's dead, it is still called a nevela. A nevela. There's also a difference between a treifa. An animal that's treif is an animal that had some sort of a disease or an inner blemish that it usually would not live a year. Usually would kill it for a year. That you have to learn this complicated laws also. What makes an animal treif if it has a hole in the lungs? To check the lungs, right? Anytime a cow is slaughtered, so the lungs are checked. They also check the stomach. Also, if there's a hole in the stomach, it's no good, etc. If there's a hole in the trachea, it's this. If there's a windpipe, it's less severe. It could be the hole in the windpipe is not so bad. In any case, very complicated laws. That's called treif. If an animal is treif, in other words, it had a hole in its lungs or whatever, and it was slaughtered properly, so it doesn't make the person impure that touches it. As I said, these laws of impurity are only relevant to the time of the temple. Okay, next one is a negative commandment. You're not allowed to eat any creepers. Creepers, right? We have already the animals that are kosher, but a person decides whatever wants. He wants to eat a scorpion or something, or a snake. So some people told me the snakes are pretty good tasting, but the non-Jews told me. In any case, it doesn't make any difference. It's the best tasting thing in the world. It is forbidden for a Jew to eat, and it's a snake, a scorpion, etc. Tolaim. And I've seen, if you ever go to China, don't go to Wuhan. I guess Wuhan is. Go to China. So we was in this market. Maybe it was the same market. I don't know. Anyway, so I went to them. I was there like 7 years ago, and they eat basically anything that moves. I'm happy they didn't eat meat. Anything that moves, the lower it is to the ground, the more, how do you say, tasty it is. Everybody's got their eyes on it. In any case, people do eat these things. Worms. Don't eat worms that come from fruit, etc. Next, you do not eat ramusim, different type of creatures. Creepers on the ground, things that creep on the ground, things that creep in the water. You can't eat any of the things that fly, creepers on the ground, except for these locusts. And birds, we said, were kosher. Okay, so that's the laws. Let's have a look inside. Let's have a look inside and see what these are. There we go. Where are we? Okay. Ready? Let's go. We have 15 minutes. Come on. Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe. God spoke to Moses and to Aaron, and he said to them, speak to the Jewish people and say, these are the animals that you may eat, Mikola Behema, from all of the animals that are in the world. Rashi says, speak to the Jewish people, all of them are equal, that all of them, but Aaron and Moshe were equal, that both of them were messengers to the Jewish people in this matter, because Shehushvu bi demima, because they were equal in, how do you say, silence, and they accepted on themselves this terrible decree that we just finished talking about previously, right? Yesterday, the death of these two holy sons of Aaron, Nadav and Avihu. So because they were equal, Moses and Aaron accepted it with the same equanimity, right? So they were both, therefore, graced with God to give this law of the animals. Those achaya, living animals. It says the Jewish people, they are Israel devukim b'makom. Jewish people, they are clinging to God. They are connected to God. For ro'im lios chayim, and the Jewish people are, and God is alive, so that gives life to the Jewish people. Therefore, they have to separate from the impure animals. And God made, therefore, a commandment. But for the non-Jews, there are no food that is forbidden. A non-Jew can eat anything that he wants to. Anything that he wants to. But a non-Jew is forbidden to eat from an animal when it's alive. He has to kill the animal first. What is this like? Mashal rofeh, like a doctor. Shenichnas labaker at the choleh. He goes into a sick person. If he sees that the sick person has it, if he sees the sick person has a chance to live, so he says, watch out what you eat. If he sees the sick person is not got a chance, so he says, eat whatever you want. Therefore, God separated the Jews from impure things, and he gave them the commandments. And I just read that over again. One second, I just read the same line over again. I keep doing that, we'll never finish. Here we go. Okay, this is the animal. Malamed Moshe, that Moses would zot. He said, this is the animal. Moses would hold up each animal and show it to the Jewish people. How everybody saw it, I don't know. It was a big miracle, but nevertheless, they did see it. I didn't have any like screens or videos. This you can eat, and this you cannot eat. It says also b'shertzi amayim, even in the creepers in the sea, octopuses and all that stuff. Moses also held it up. Mikol min, each and every type, and said, don't eat it. And also all the birds. They said, don't defile yourself from the birds. And all because he said, zot, this is. So we said the behema is in the general category of a chaya, of an animal. They're animals. Okay, what is it? Anything that mafreses parsa, that the hoof is split, the shasat shesa, and that it is split all the way down. Shesa parsa, male gera, and also the second thing is it has to lift up its cud. The behema, this you can eat. Rashi is a little bit different than everybody else, but the opinion goes according to Rashi. In other words, what? That the animal has to have a split hoof from the top to the bottom. Has to be all the way through. Rashi says, shesa, it has to be split from above and below. And it, like two sort of fingers, two fingernails. That's what Rashi. Malagera, what is malagera? Means that the animal brings up, he like sort of vomits the food that was in its stomach and returns it back into its mouth, and he chews it, the tachana chadak, so that it chews it to be more fine. That's the gira, that's called the cud, is the gira. That's the name of it. Okay. And this word is extra, and it's coming to tell you that the shalil of a nimsa b'me'imo, that even the fetus in the mother stomach, it also has to have these signs. You can eat that, but you cannot eat an impure animal. This is the negative commandment, part of it, and a negative commandment. So there's a positive commandment. You have to check to see if the animal has it. And the negative commandment is that if it doesn't have it, don't eat it. Let's go a little bit quickly. This you must not eat from that which does bring up its cud. And those who have split hooves. What? Camels. Don't eat camel. What camel doesn't have a split hooves? It says no, that's exactly the point. It does chew its cud, but parsa eno mafris, but its hoof is not split. Now, someone told me, and I think this is true, and there's always people that try to say it's not true, that the only animals to this very day that have only one of these signs are these animals that are listed in the Torah. Now, considering that the Torah was given to the Jews 3,300 plus years ago, and that the Torah was written before the world, so it's pretty bizarre, that all that time, let's just say it was given, that they've never found what was written 3,300 years ago, any exception to what was written back then. Okay. Well, it says, this you can't eat a camel, because camels do chew their cuds, but they don't have split feet. A shafan, whatever is a shafan and arnevet, a hare and a rabbit, because they also have a way of chewing their food, but they don't have split hooves. Arnevet, the same thing. This is like a hare. Here he has a picture of it. What's a shafan? What's an arnevet? 1 second. Let's see if we have a picture over here. Do we have the picture? Yes, we should. There it is. Okay, ready? I have to bring the thing down every time. I'll bring it down and we'll make it bigger. Here. This is supposed to be the shafan. What is a shafan? I don't know what it is. What do they call those things? A shafan. They used to call it a hamster. Maybe hamster. Who knows? Anyway, here's the arnevet, our old bunny. Okay, usually they translate sometimes as a hare and a rabbit. The fact is, they got some of these things running around in Kfar Chabad. Rabbits. Why do they have rabbits? Because somebody, I don't know, 5 years ago, they bought pet rabbits for their kids. Rabbits are cute, but they put them in a cage on the ground. And of course, they dug the way out, and that's it. They're just out. And now they're multiplying like rabbits. So there's rabbits all over. Okay. Shafan, it lives, okay. Arnevet, also the same thing. It definitely does chew its cud in some way. It's not the normal, it doesn't have the same system as the other, but it does chew its cud, and it doesn't have split hooves. A chazir, the pig has split hooves, right? Split completely like a cow, but it does not chew its cud. From these few animals, the camel and the hare, whatever it is, and the pig, you're not allowed to eat, and if they die, don't touch their body because it is impure to you. Okay, so we've finished the animals. What about the fish? Everything in the water, anything that has snapir, it has fins, v'kaskeses, and scales in the water or in the rivers that you can eat. Anything that does not have fins or scales in the water and in the rivers, or anything that sort of crawls around over there in the rivers and on the ground, then you're not allowed to eat. Sheketz ulachem. It is, anytime it says sheketz, it means a davar nemuch, that's low, sort of crawls around. Those things are also forbidden, like an eel. So even if you find an eel that does have fins and scales, you can't eat it because it crawls around on the ground of the water. You can't. Okay. Anything that hasn't got sapir kaskeses, it is sheketz. Don't sheketz too. These are the things you cannot eat from the birds. Sheketzim lechem. These are forbidden to you. The nesher, the paris, and the azniah. Okay, then I have a whole bunch of birds over here. Let's just have a look and see what they are. the da'a, ayah, lamina, or the orev, the crow, lamina, batyana, tachmos, shochaf, nates is usually a hawk, kos, and a shalach, and a yanshuf. Yanshuf is usually translated as an owl. Vashatin shemes, vetaka'a, vetaracham. Okay, what are these animals? What are these? At the Hasidah, Anafa, let me know. I'll show you a picture of some of these things. Anacha, Hasidah, this is also the same thing, the Daya that we learned before. Why is it called the Hasidah? It's kind with its own type. Some people say it's a pelican, I don't know. Anafa, this is also a different type of a Daya. This is and it seems to me this is what's called a heron. A heron, right? A heron is also like a sort of the duchifat. A duchifat, this is like a once again, we have a picture over here, the duchifat. Maybe that's the pelican. The duchifat and the atalef. The atalef is usually a bat. A bat is usually atalef. Okay, so let's have a little look at these strange animals, just so you see. If you happen to see one laying in your plate at the restaurant, don't eat it. Don't eat it. Here we go. Ready? Let's have a look. Here, let's this. Here we go. Ready? This is the. Get this. There it is. That's the Paris hawk. Osmia, almost with a vulture, huh? Maybe. Here's the Orev. Orev, we know that's a crow. Here is the Daya. There's all these different types of Dayas. Some sort of a hawk over the water. I don't know. Here is the Batyana. Batyana is a ostrich. Huh? Don't eat those ostriches. Don't eat it. There we go. A tachmos. This is what is it? Who knows? Some sort of a bird. Who knows where they found these things? But anyways, this is a very unclear picture. Okay, whatever it is. Here we go. The birds. We have more birds. Nesher. Nesher is also some sort of it's an eagle. There's some sort of eagles they have that are pretty ugly eagles. They have the American eagle, which is sort of very majestic. But then they have what we'll call the ugly eagle. Here we have the shachaf. The shachaf, that's also eats from the nates. That's usually a hawk or a shalach, a kos. Yanshuf. There we have our owl. That's our yanshuf. And the Tenshemes, which is also an owl, but it's a different type of an owl. Anyway, I mean, if I wasn't, dealing with this religious book, I would say that he just sort of made these things up, but probably not. Who knows? The pictures, at least you know the things. Then we have the duchifat. The duchifat today, that is what it's called. How do they call it? Not the kingfisher. Anyway, duchifat. That's supposed to be the bird of Israel. I didn't make that up. And it's not according to the Torah either. The duchifat. I haven't seen one in a long time, really. A duchifat. It has a thing that on a crown, like on the head, that opens up. Pretty interesting looking bird. Nice looking bird. There's a word for this. What do they call it? A woodpecker? Maybe, yeah, maybe woodpecker. Okay. Atalef, of course, that's our bat. A chasidah. There we have our pelican, what do you want to call it? Rachamanafa. Anyway, here are these animals that are birds that are not kosher. The Torah lists the not kosher birds. But like I said, we can't eat any bird that was not given from generation. Any that goes on its four legs is forbidden to eat. These things you can eat that you can. There are certain I just say flying locusts that you can eat. And that's what we said. It has 4 front feet and arba asher lo karayim, and it has also wings above its feet that it can walk on the ground. The feet can walk on the ground. And these you can eat. The arba, there's 4 types. Arba, salam, a chargol, and a chagav. They say that now you can only eat things that are called chagav. So when we learned, there has to be 4 front feet, and it has to have also 2 big legs on the back that with these 2 legs on the back, it sort of jumps around. So it has to have 2 feet. It says samach l'tzavar, next to its neck, it has like 2 big legs, except for the 4 feet that it has. And when it wants to jump, so it jumps with this 2 big legs that it's got. Okay, that's in other words, there is a certain type of a locust that is permissible. If these things if they were killed improperly, of course you don't have to kill fish in order to eat it, and you don't have to kill locusts in order to eat it. But it's disgusting to eat them alive, so you can kill them any way you want to, and you can eat them. Right? They don't have to be slaughtered ritually. Birds and behemoths, chayas, do have to be slaughtered. They have to be slaughtered according to Torah law, but not these. Okay, that's what we finished before. Then we have the Shmona Shrotzim, we had the 8 special impure animals. Okay, and then we have the laws of impurity. And these are very complicated laws, and they're only relevant to the time of the temple. Suffices to say that anything that touches a dead body becomes impure. And anything that touches that object or whatever is that touched the dead body, it also becomes pure, but in a lower level. So a dead body is what's called a grandfather, a avi avos, the big source of impurity. And anything that touches that is called a father of tuma, it's called an avatuma. And things that touch that are a lower level of tuma, etc. The lower level, and this is mostly relevant to the holy temple, right? There are certain things that are very, very delicate and susceptible to even 3rd level of impurity, and some things which are less, only 2nd level of impurity, they become impure. And 3rd level, it doesn't make them impure, etc. But we'll learn that, God willing, in the future. For now, God bless you all. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, so you understand what's going on. Tomorrow, we will learn the Haftorah. This Shabbat is what's called Parshat Para. We learn about the red cow, Paraduma, special to prepare ourselves, purify ourselves for the holiday of Passover, which is coming up. So we'll learn about that tomorrow, and there's a special knockout Haftorah from Ezekiel about how he really lets the Jews have it, and the Jews, God is just, disgusted with them and terrible. He's going to kick them out, but he always loves them, and he promises them that no matter how bad they are, one day it's going to be okay, and he's going to bring them all back to the land of Israel. Don't miss it tomorrow at 3:00. But we'll see you tomorrow, God willing, at 8:15 in the morning for Hasidut. Have a good day with Mashiach now.